Welcome back. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off... That's right, we were... Yeah, shit just went down. Ended on a cliffhanger. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to figure out what happened. Miss Susato? I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of things ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But I would have done something like that. The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be? The other passenger that Mr. McGilded was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions. Along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? Oh, we're gonna find out. What was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Hmm? Oh, the fare? According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo. He took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. It comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. Now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers. Which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That is strange.
Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. A trial will recommence in 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, officer. What the hell did you even just say? We'll go in straight away.
Right, hurry up now.
Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Miss Susato. Yes! That's the spirit. That whole thing gives me a weird feeling. Oh. Hello, you? There she is. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look! She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Vansix. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade of the sort typically employed by the army.
Ah, good gracious! The army? What in the devil's name?
It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. And now, occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? Come on.
What's the meaning of this deplorable behavior?
Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded. I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why is it that this wee lass here was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that? 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. What did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat of the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There we go, now let's get in there. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess. From what I gather, on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel says. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. Defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Lenziks? Alright, well I guess we'll start at the beginning. And when you first got on the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. Interesting that we can't look around. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back side as I did. It is the most comfortable, and so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means. This is how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman was stabbed while sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. You're suspiciously quiet as well, there, Lenziks. Begorra. Yeah, he's definitely Irish. A few commenters in the past videos have pointed out that he's supposed to be Irish. He's definitely Irish. That confirms it. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? It was like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. Of course, my accent's probably bloody terrible. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor after having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. When the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fella on the floor. You didn't see anyone. That same moment, did you hear a scream? From the seat above you on the roof deck, perhaps? Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight in front before me eyes. Collapsed on the floor at me feet. Hold it! You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said. Could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Aha, Lord Van Zieks. Now why would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I am in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. You suggesting you were just gonna leave the man there? Heavens alive, no. I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wouldn't understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yeah. Screamy says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing.
Hold it!
I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir. So I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Oh! Vulgar! Good gracious! Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I had been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? We did find that. Yes, of course. The whole boss was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. There was a child in there.
Hold it!
I have a child. You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well, my heart nearly stopped beating in my chest. You're really overacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there. And sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right. Just next to the dead gentleman there. Hi. I know you're probably traumatized and all, but here, sit next to a dead guy. You set this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, you must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with a knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilded. They believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl. After that, of course, with a scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. There she is. It's a chancer. Earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Order! Order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh no! Ah! How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Oh. And she's gone. Ah! The girl, she's gone.
Open your eyes.
I'm over here. Ah! Good gracious, how? What's the point of that little sidestep? You know what you think, what you lot are thinking? Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? Oh. No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast... green smoke for you. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, all right? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs. Oh, this? Yes, this was in a bag I lifted the other day. Down where they keep the four-wheeled drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Do not wave that thing in my direction again. Chalice time. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question? Lance? 'Tis all right, lads. You can tell them the truth now. All right, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Gina. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in Omnibus on the night in question. All right, if I have to. Gina. Protect Gina, obvious. Honestly, she's precious. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was a right old waste of time. Got nothing to show for me troubles last night. I'll tell you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out my skin, I did, and the scream just came out. It's because of that the swell found me. It did help me get away, mind. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let the street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was siding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. There it is. Yes. It does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah. So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord. Not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness! What a perfect perfect gentleman.
My lord!
This fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Well. And you? With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Well. Well, I'll be damned. Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual. They're leaning to a verdict of not guilty. Mr. Naruhodo, this... well, it must mean... It must mean what? That we're victorious. We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
Uh-oh.
Ah! Leg!
The sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends. Pray, do forgive the discourtesy. Ah! Oh! This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white, here at the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? That's right, we did examine the cubby hole on the other side, which had the coachman's belongings in. Oh. Order, order. Would such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we can also acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? And the carriage was submitted as evidence. Doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the under-seat compartment to be? Actually... see this handle, it seems. Yeah, that definitely... We definitely opened this one. It was not empty before. The storage compartment, there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here. I can't put my finger on what it is. Shit. Blood that's soaked into the seat. The victim's, obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark. There was a lamp on in here. I examined the blood. That's blood, isn't it? Something wrong? Oh, it's just... Well, this bloodstain is so obvious, that's all. I and yet Van Zieks has made no mention of it. Oh, this is new, too. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Something definitely changed since we went to intermission. Something seriously changed since we went to intermission. Oh, to be sure. The young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zieks? Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? Now we're getting into it. How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat of the omnibus? Well... we're gonna be honest. A spicy answer. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense. As far as I remember, at least. When I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Be whist. What are you saying now, you daft daw? I thought you were on my side here. What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? It's the truth. Compose yourself. As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. It is not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. And now then. A fella's memory is a curious thing, and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. Their cubbyhole under the seat is empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interests now to admit you might have been mistaken? Well, why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The Guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. But it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That moneylending fleecer and the pick purse are lying. Ah! I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Bob. The price of honesty. Quite so. I must concur here. Bob. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. Before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. This is getting a bit more awkward. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Hey, we just stood for our values. Stood for what we believed in, which is the truth. And by doing that, we seem to have uncovered something kinda stinky underneath. Something real sus.
Hold it!
So you're already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Oh, we can look around. Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spending a Joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, ain't it? Suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl's a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece make it 20, to which the cabman testify. Let's look around. Hi, Gina.
Excuse me.
Miss Lestrade. Did something spring to mind when you heard that last statement, perhaps? What? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No, it seems not. Forget I asked. Oh, that really bugs me that I can't go backwards anymore. I don't know why that is. All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are all still very unsure. You could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony. I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I don't think we're going to get the definitive proof that we were looking for here. And one little scapegrace riding for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment. Full of equipment for the coach, no? We won't bug you yet. Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. Seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue.
Hold it!
A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own and the God permit at least some of the time. I beg your pardon, did you say God permit? Oh yeah, well that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away. That's it. Only that night. Miss Cove was sat in me seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. You mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin. Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? This Mr. Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit, then.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out in the cabin? Not a jot. Most days I would push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. And I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher or a fiddler. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one I see. So most of the time the passengers plan themselves opposite. But for some reason, that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out. I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small, dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Obson's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to pickpocketing people in the open, then? I'd say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyways, I was a bit scared. I had to just stick it out under there. Nothing else for it. You say a loud bang. Do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? That's a concerned look. Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. I let out a scream involuntarily. That's right. And then I felt the cushion over my head get light all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes. Or not. Could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim. Could it not? Well, go. Did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. Pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's while I had the chance, did I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke what had fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilded's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I snuck back down again, but it was too late by then. I should never have risen looking.
Hold it!
And when Mr. McGilded discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place. I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason. Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. And the carriage lurched a bit and he ended up falling onto me. Oh jeez. Ugh, how awful. Both my hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog. Both her hands covered in blood? Must be what the rooftop passengers saw. That I believe you talked with Mr. McGilded for a while, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what I was up to and all that. And I heard something from up above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume. I didn't want no one seeing my face, so I didn't look up. And the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." I'm wondering. He was definitely sat here. Do wonder. Anything else could have changed.
Hold it!
Just to bug you for a second.
Excuse me.
Let me ask you something, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would that be, fella? Do you have something to say about that last statement? No, not really. I'm altogether happy with what's been said. Kind of you to ask, still and all. Here, have yourself a tip. Oh, ah! Does he think I was asking after his general well-being? Fair enough. Loud bang. Reaching out of your skin. Presuming that's when the victim fell down. Generally don't know how to proceed here.
Objection!
Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. That reveals a damning inconsistency, that last statement. Damning, you say? As I look at you, Counsel, I see your trembling hand, your pale, pallid expression, and your perspiring brow. Huh? It seems to me that is the damning inconsistency here, with the misplaced confidence of your assertion. Ooh. This damning tongue. You invited, sir. That was good. I don't know what to make of this right now, though. Oh, hang on, I figured out how to go back. Scroll wheel on my mouse will go back. Weird that just clicking the box. Anarchy advances. Scroll wheel goes back. Interesting. Interesting. So the second time I press the statement, Mr. McGilded has something to say.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Mr. Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps, about being in the clink? You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. 'Twas not important. So this only triggers once we pressed everything the first time. I was feeling bad for the poor ass, is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, and shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, it was. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Gina? Yeah. I suppose it does. Maybe. Miss Lestrade? Did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps? Gina? Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
But jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp.
What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? Profoundly important. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. I don't know why yet, but profoundly important. But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do, but it won't work on me. Gina pout. That's right, insult the judge. Always a good move. Say it again.
Hold it!
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time? Since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then when I saw this swell going on, I got my head down, so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Wish you Adam and Eve, eh? What a mug! So then all I could do was listen. Just admire your shocked face for a moment. I was waiting to jump out there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court? It's clearly at odds with the facts. At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. Oh, you noticed it too? So Van Zieks realized it too. I mean, I did select the option that would appeal to Van Zieks the most during that earlier moral choice, to get some points for the Van Zieks route. Just kidding, that's not a thing. I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord! I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while Steer was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. Think, Ryunosuke. Think! Omni-Man pose. Think, Ryunosuke. Think. Slap time! Ryunosuke used double slap. There's something else she should have heard. I'm sure person. I think I know what we're talking about here. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained the presence of the following person. Twice-fired Mason. Right?
Take that!
No one else got on. When did he get on? Twice-fired Mason. Yes, my lord. A sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear. Is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person aboard the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own, for sure. And from what we just heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. It's exactly what I was listening for, wasn't it? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah. You know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zeeks? Yes. He knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Oh, I mean no disrespect, Gina. I'm just going off the facts. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly have not boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. I just go to the pickpocket. Let's not forget that. Jury number 6 says, eat the rich, dear. Eat them all. Ah, she didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. Neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing.
Ah! Ah, what are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadon?
This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this thing is going... I know. I can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence. The judge will rule, and will have lost. Uh-oh. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Uh-oh.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seemed to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if you consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What do you say? Huh?
Counsel?
I'm sorry, sir? Whatever do you mean? Counsel. I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once. I had to do a double take on that word, because I almost said prologue. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. Yes, there is a rather clear answer starting to form, isn't there? You see it? And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. Oh, okay, these aren't the answers I was expecting. I suppose that we're still defending. I'd say this. Obviously, the victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed.
Objection!
Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that obviously in your last sentence? Well said, Lord Van Zeeks. The obviously is troubling me also. No. That's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been moved into the carriage afterwards. Then answer me this. How could a cadaver have been placed inside a moving carriage? Well, obviously, I shall have to penalize the defense heavily for this irrelevant rambling. I must learn to ramble more relevantly. The penalty is evidently not heavy enough, judging from those Nipponese eyes. So I ask you again. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus. Oh boy. It's not clearly wrong. You played me there. Clearly, he was in there already from beforehand.
Objection!
Tell me, my learned friend. Oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, we got bodied. There's another entrance? Guess there's another entrance. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. Behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Yeah. Huh? All right, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus in which the incident occurred. Where does this entrance which you proposed enter the cabin? I guess we gotta find an entrance. Certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see it quite clearly. It's not good for us. we looking? Rotate, rotate, rotate. Gamer keys. No windows. No door. Hmm? It's quite a large skylight, isn't it? It's quite large enough to afford a good view of the cabin from the roof deck. It doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch or any description. I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin at least. I know what we're getting at. That's... We're gonna try and say it's the skylight, isn't it? Oh shit. I guess maybe we can't figure it out on here. Can we say it's here?
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say the skylight.
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However,
Objection!
the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. Do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained. The sound of the victim falling from his seat, having been assaulted with a dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact. Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment the victim made his entrance into the cabin. Now, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You're now suggesting the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified before said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not. These two chaps on the roof. Aggressive typing. You mean the ones that stuck that knife? The ones who stuck the knife in the man were... Oh! Well, that's Stockholm. Uh-oh. Hi. That's what exactly you're insinuating here, you blitherer. You rotter. What are you doing? You rotter. What are you insinuating? What? What? Are you... That's a power bottom move right there.
This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
Stop that! I'll give you a shiner in 1 minute, he said. And so will I. Stop that, please, first.
Mr. Fairplay. You're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker.
And me, a very angry hatter.
Do you think that someone like me could have stabbed the man in the guts? It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's... I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. Uh-oh, we got a full bench of witnesses now. Order, order, order. This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once.
But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous.
Stop that! It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, may I comment? Go ahead, Lord Van Zeeks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? He never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is waiting. Wanting. Propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought.
What are you wasting time for? Get them down. Testify.
Huh?
I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on that fellow. And the way the other one poses when he's angry. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another.
If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy.
Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord.
You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defense.
Yes, my lord.
I didn't come here for this. Uh-oh. What's on your mind? There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward.
Well, this is going places quickly.
We'll deal with that next time. Until then, thanks for watching.